Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar event. My name is Josh and I'm going to be your presenter today. In just a couple minutes, we're going to get started talking about our topic for the day, which is calculating a payroll adjustment. Before we get started on that, just a couple of things. We are recording today's event, so there will be the video of this event will be out on our website at some point. I think we already actually have something out on the website about calculating an adjustment. Let's go take a look at that real quick. So if we go to churchwindows.com and into our support center, and we click in our search field there, and we type in our keyword adjustment, click search. Yeah, so right here we've got payroll calculate adjustment. We've got another video out there that was from version 2015 or newer. The adjustment function in payroll hasn't changed in some time, so I think we are going to get this one out there eventually. But if you're looking for something on adjustment, you can find something out on the website right now that basically will walk you through something similar to what I'm walking you through today. We're going to be together until 1:20 Eastern Time today, at no later than. Please, type in questions to me into the questions portion of the webinar control panel there. I'll do my best to keep an eye on it and try to see what I can't do to, I'll repeat the question and see what we can't do to get that answered. And again, if you do have questions after the webinar is concluded, of course, please contact our support staff, 800-533-5227. We're available and happy to help if you do have questions, of course. So when we click on payroll and we see this second one down called calculate adjustment, basically we can use the calculate adjustment fee. I'm sorry, let me back up a step. This is taken from P102 on our workbook, pages 11 through 16 or 17 on calculating an adjustment. So if you have those payroll workbooks, you can find the same pages in the workbook. The book that I'm using is the basis for the event today. So let's start over again. So we can use the calculate adjustment feature when we need to make a change to a person's pay history or pay record at virtually at any time. You can use it when you're beginning to use payroll, when you're wanting to either get the beginning to use payroll in the middle of the year perhaps, and you're trying to get the payroll information entered for, say, the first 6 months of the year without calculating each one of those checks. We can use the calculate adjustment feature to make changes or corrections to a payroll. The reason why we're doing this event now is because as we're approaching the end of year, I do lots of adjustments in the month of January when folks are realizing that things like W-2s are wrong. So when we get into our busy season in January, calculating payroll adjustments becomes a very common and frequent support call for us. So we're trying to help you get a jump on that now and making you aware that this feature and function is available to you even now if you're realizing that there are problems or mistakes that we need to fix. Yes, it is definitely probable that an adjustment that a payroll adjustment that you calculate in payroll could affect your 941 totals in addition to the employee's W-2 forms if that's how it ends up. So it could, it's something that, you can't take lightly. We do have to make sure we're understanding what we're doing and what we're affecting by calculating that. So when we click on calculate adjustment, okay, so, again, we click on payroll and calculate adjustment. The first thing that we're going to pop up here is this message that says, warning, a check will not be created when calculating an adjustment. To create a check, please select the calculate payroll menu item. So that's the first thing to understand about this, is that the calculate adjustment feature is not a payroll and it's not going to let us print a check. Okay? It's a correcting or an adjusting feature. Okay? So the topic that we're going to be using, or the basis for today, is that I do most of my adjustments, like I said, in the month of January each year, either to correct tax documents to end the prior year. I'll also do a lot of adjustments in January for churches that are trying to assign or vacation or sick time to their employees to start the year, that they're granted contingent on their employment with the church to start the year. We're giving employees, X number of hours or days for vacation time starting January 1, and we're giving them Y number of hours for sick time. And so we would use that calculated adjustment feature, this calculated adjustment feature, to get those vacation hours or sick time entered here. Okay? And so that's what we're going to use as our basis today. So I'm now aware that I'm not going to be getting a check on this. I don't want one. So we would click OK. First thing it does is it opens up my calculate adjustment, or my calculate adjustment 1 screen, asking me to enter an adjustment date. So let's say I am wanting to award my employees vacation time as of, say, January 1. So I'm going to type in January 1, 2017. We can assume that would be 18 once the 18 year is open. It works the same no matter which year you're in. And once we've entered that adjustment date, we're going to click Next. Okay? So once we've entered that adjustment date and click Next, it takes us to the Calculate Adjustment 2 screen, asking us which employees are we making the adjustment for. So we're going to choose specific employee contractor in the upper right-hand corner. I can calculate them for everyone, but I'm going to do it just for just a couple of employees today. So we're going to click Clear All, and we're going to choose Jimmy, and then we're going to choose John Thomas. Okay? 2 employees. And then we're going to go to Next. And again, another important thing to understand about the Calculate Adjustment feature here is everything when you come into this window is blank. Everything is 0. Hours are 0. Pay rates are 0. Deductions are all set to 0. Allowances are all set to 0 because it wants you to tell it what you're adjusting. Okay? So if I needed to make an adjustment to, pay hours or rates here, I can certainly type something in and put in positive or negative figures in here to adjust what is currently being recorded for in payroll. Okay? So if say John is a salaried employee, if I go, oh, well, his regular pay needs to be reduced by $500, I can type in negative 500, and that's going to reduce his gross pay. Okay? We're not here to do that today, though. So it is important because, a lot of times we'll get requests in January, when somebody says, oh, well, my pastor's housing allowance isn't showing up in there, in box 14, it's being added into their wages. That's the most common one we would probably do, would be, that I do in January, is I need to take money out of their box 1 wages on the W-2 for the pastor and drop it into box 14 for them. So we would make an adjustment to regular pay rate and put in their allowance and make that adjustment there for that. Okay? Again, no money is changing hands. We're simply making a correction to the employee's record. So we're not going to enter anything here for either employee under pay hours or rates or wages or allowances or deductions. We're going to go right to Next. Okay? So then this takes us to our Calculate Adjustment number 4 screen, where now we are going to click the button in the bottom right labeled Browse Adjustments. That then opens the window at the top with both of our employee names selected, called Browse Edit Calculated Adjustment. There's a similar function under Payroll when you calculate payroll called Browse Payments, and it opens up Browse Edit Calculated Payments, where you can make changes to it. And this is very similar to that. Okay? So here we've got Jimmy highlighted, tax deductions for Jimmy Hilliard. Again, everything's 0. If I needed to make an adjustment here for this, I would certainly enter it accordingly in the appropriate area. But we're really here to click the tab at the bottom called Accumulating Values. Again, remember, we're here to assign or enter vacation or sick time for these employees as of January 1 of 17. So then when I click on that, it now brings up my accumulating hours for vacation and sick time, or weeks as the case may be. Okay? So, we're gonna make up a figure here in terms of what we're wanting to have them awarded. So, let's say, we use the term hours here. I want to make sure that everybody understands this. Accumulating hours, okay? it's just a term that we use to assign this. So technically this value can mean anything you want. Okay, it could mean hours, it could mean days, it could mean technically weeks. Okay. The reason why I stress this is because we can even calculate an hourly rate for a salaried employee, provided we base it on something simple like a 40-hour work week. Take their regular weekly gross pay, divide that by 40 hours, and that becomes then that salaried employee's hourly rate, he said with air quotes. Okay? So the reason why I'm mentioning this is because it's important that for you to administer this, we would recommend that you try to use the same value for all your employees. It just makes it simpler to administer. So if you set up, use hours for everybody. Okay? And you can set up, say, days for salaried employees. Like since John Thomas is is a salaried employee, I could say, okay, his vacation time at 10 represents 10 vacation days. It doesn't necessarily mean it can represent 10 vacation hours. So if I did want to make hours for John Thomas, I would simply put in 80. That would be 2 weeks worth of vacation time. Okay? But just for the ease of administration and maintenance on it, we would recommend be consistent with everybody. It just makes it easier on you as the payroll administrator. So we're going to say John gets 40 hours or 1 week of sick time, and then I would click apply. We would then move up to Jimmy, and similarly I can put in something similar for him, so I could say, okay, we're going to give him 40 hours of vacation time and 20 hours of sick time. Maybe there's a seniority issue here or something, maybe Jimmy's new this year or something. Maybe they just don't get awarded as much. We could make them exactly the same. We just want to make sure that we're entering the right number for each of the employees. Okay, clicking apply and OK. Then we click OK through that, and we can print these reports. There's no pay on these. There's no dollar amounts. There would be nothing on these reports, so we're not going to print those. We're going to go to next, and then we're going to post to payroll, and we're going to click finish. It then says posted to employee file successfully. Okay? So now, when I print my checks for my employees, it's going to show those number of hours that those employees have available to them for both vacation and sick time. Another way that I can look at it is to go to reports, history report, employee detail hours report. I'm going to choose my two employees, Jimmy and John, and go to next. I'm going to leave it as, I'm going to choose individual history report, and then when I go to next, we now notice, let me zoom in a little bit here, that Jimmy now shows vacation time earned 80 hours right here, vacation earned 80, sick time earned 40. When I go to page 2 for my next employee, for John Thomas, same thing. I've got vacation earned of 40 and sick time earned of 40. Okay? So that's just verifying for us that the adjustment that we made is there. That's what we had requested that the system have changed or edited for us. Okay? So yeah, we definitely have about 5 minutes left, so there's some other things I can use to show you for how the adjustment works. So let's say we go to our tax reports and W-2 forms, say for example, and we're going to look at our senior pastor, Larry, and we're going to leave it as file copy, and we're going to go to next. And we see right here, as I zoom in a little bit, we've got to see that it shows for him, $4,020 that he's allocated for housing allowance for this year. And we're just going to assume at this point that that amount is wrong. Okay? So we're going to say that he needs to have, another $1,800, or sorry, $1,980. It needs to show $6,000 for that, for housing to this point in the year. And it's wrong. And so what we also need to do is we're going to show that the wages and tips, the other box 1 total right up here, needs to be reduced by that $1,980 as well. So somewhere along the line, the housing allowance wasn't set up properly, so we added the $1,980 into box 1 as reportable wages, and then we didn't allocate that towards housing, and so we need to reduce one by the 1980 and add it into the other. Okay? So we're going to finish through our W-2, and we're going to go back into payroll and calculate adjustment again. Here's our warning again that no check will be created. So we're going to forward date this to, say, December 31st. That's when I do the bulk of my adjustments in payroll for the end of the year, is generally on 12/31. So I would go to next, again choosing specific employee contractor, clearing everybody, choosing Larry. Go to next. So here we're going to put under regular negative 1980. And I'm sorry, yes, negative 1980 to reduce box 1. And under housing, we're just going to type in positive 1980. Okay? And we're going to go to next. So again, the negative is adjusting the current reported figure by lower. The positive amount is adjusting the current reported figure higher. That's how this calculate adjustment feature works. Once we click on Browse Adjustments, notice here it is now taking out the 1980 out of my box 1 federal gross taxable wages, and it's adding it into my total allowances. It looks like it's also trying to take it out of my state wages as well, which would be right if those two wage boxes were the same, and I believe they were. Okay? It's even wanting to take it out of my local taxes. So if, say, I didn't want it to reduce or change my local taxes, I can just click under gross taxable and change that to 0 if I want. Okay? But we're going to leave it as the 1980 under all those, because I believe it is correct to have that showing up. It's consistent everywhere. So we'll click OK through that again. Next. Then we would click Finish, post it to employee file successfully. Now we're going to go back and look at the W-2 again. Folks, the W-2 form doesn't show 2017 yet because we don't have the payroll 2018 installed yet. So we're just pretending in this case that it is showing the proper form. You can't begin looking at these W-2s soon enough. So again, we'll leave it as file copy. Go to Next. Here's Larry. Here's Larry Higgins. Right here it's now showing, let me zoom in a little bit again. So now shows our housing allowance has been increased to $6,000 the way that we had requested, and our wages, box 1 wages, and our state wages, and our local wages have all been reduced by that same $1,980. Okay? So that, folks, in a nutshell, is the calculate adjustment feature. You can literally adjust anything under an employee's file. Yes, as I stated earlier, I have changed my 941 figures by doing this adjustment. I've taken out $1,980 out of reported wages. Okay? So, generally, in most cases, as long as we do this before the final, final 941 of the year is filed, it's generally going to be able to work it out. We're able to fix that. Only if we had submitted this, the final 941 of 2018, and then realized, or 17, excuse me, and then realized later on that there was a mistake, would we need to submit a 941X. So these types of adjustments can generally be made as long as and corrected in the same year without submitting an amended form, as long as we don't file that final form of the year. We're basically realizing our mistakes before we file the form. Generally, that it works out fine that way. Okay? So that, in a nutshell, is the adjustment feature. I'm finished with what I'm talking about here. Let me see. There don't appear to be any questions in there. I must have done a pretty good job being thorough about this. I'm going to give folks a couple minutes to see if they can type something in there, if they have a question for me about it. Again, if not, folks, please, remember you've got the adjustment movies and documents out there on the website already, as indicated earlier. Or, if we can be of help over the phone, please don't hesitate to let us know. 800-533-5227. Of course, we're happy to help. Well, I'm not seeing anything coming in. It looks like folks are diving out pretty quickly. I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar then for us. We hope it's been helpful. Christy, you're asking, why would the amounts in accounting? You certainly could transfer the adjustment amounts to accounting if you wish, Christy. Again, without money changing hands, though, depending on what maybe needs to be fixed in accounting, I might want to fix that accounting manually. That kind of has to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. It really depends. Frequently, those types of things like we did with our housing allowance, we might need to go in and post an adjustment between, say, the base salary expense and the housing expense, or I could transfer the adjustment over there. Let me see if I'm understanding your question. Why would the amounts in accounting be different than the ones shown in payroll? Well, that's a question. If you're talking about something in your data, Christy, I don't know. That's something I'd request that you contact us or call us through support on, so we could maybe have you look in your data so we can look on that. I'm sorry, I'm not that I don't want to answer it. I just need more information. Yeah, again, please call us. We're here till 6 p.m. Eastern Time today, or we'll be back in after 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 to 5 tomorrow. So please, call, ask for me too. My name is Josh. I'm the only one here. I'm happy to help. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar for everyone, and we'll look forward to hearing from you or seeing you at another Church Windows webinar event. You're welcome. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.